So our next speaker in this conference is Dr. Pankaj Tandon. He is at Boston University, and he's one of the leading specialists on North Indian numismatics. And he will speak about pre-Islamic gold coins found in Sindh.
Before I get started, I'd like to thank Sasha for organizing the Kochnev Seminar again. Now to the subject at hand, the pre-Islamic gold coins of Sindh. This is joint work with Nikolaus Schindel and Mikhail Alram. But I shall take responsibility for all the errors today. So Sindh, today Sindh is considered a commercial hub. The Sindhi community is well known for its business acumen. So in India, we have always thought of Sindh as being a very important commercial center. But historically, in ancient times, there are very few coins that come from Sindh. There's one stray piece of evidence that in one stupa, 2 Kushan coins were found, one Western Kshatrap coin, and one Indo-Parthian coin, if I remember correctly. And this was one of the very few finds in Sindh. There are very, very few ancient coins found in Sindh. And then suddenly in the 4th century, we start seeing these gold coins, and this is just a typical one. This is a little bit later in the series. And one of their important characteristics is this symbol in front of the king's face, which has been read as the Brahmi letter Shri, a stylized version of the Brahmi letter Shri, which stands for the auspicious one. It's an auspicious one, sort of word. It's often used as a title. The Han kings, for example, would always give their names as Shri so-and-so. The Gupta kings would give their names as Shri so-and-so. So exactly why this just a Shri is hanging there, we don't know. But a lot of the coins have this Shri, and we'll see that not all of them do. Okay. And a big question is who issued these coins? They look like they're Sassanian coins, but the Sassanians, it's not clear they ever really ruled there. There's some, at some times they claim that they one of their provinces was Hind. And exactly what is meant by that, we don't know. But there were no coins, Sassanian coins, prior to the 4th century. So just so for people who don't know, this is the modern province of Sindh in what is now Pakistan, this area. And this star here is the city of Larkana, where in the 1920s, a small group of 6 gold coins of Sindh of this type that I showed you were found, not in an archaeological context. They appeared in the market there. And they were photographed and published at the time. Only one of them can still be traced today. We don't know where the other 5 are. And these other stars are places that people in the trade say coins have been found in recent years, because a lot of coins have now been found and have appeared in the market. The database I'm working with has 261 coins in it of images and things like that, and information. Not the coins are not physically present in the study, and so that's where the modern province of Sindh is, and whether that was the ancient area that people called Sindh in ancient times, we don't actually know. For example, it could be quite plausible that Multan, which is a big city in what is now Punjab in Pakistan, in ancient times may have been considered part of Sindh. So exactly where the border of Sindh is, we don't know. And as we're going to see, seems to be a connection in ancient times between Sindh and Kashmir. So the fact that it's so far physically from Kashmir is probably not that plausible. But in any case, we'll see that as we move along. And here's just a physical map to give you an indication that the river Indus flows through Sindh. So this green area is the plain of the river Indus. And then to the east is the great Indian desert, the Thar Desert. And to the west is a mountainous desert-like region of, in ancient times, it was Gedrosia. Okay, so as I said, we now have 261 coins. The first coins appear at the time of Shapur II. We can see from the crown, this is the crown of Shapur II. And we have coins that we can divide into 6 types. There's one type with a sort of a Brahmi letter in front of it. We have 2 coins in our sample. There are some that have a flower in front of the king's face. We have 5 coins in our sample. Then there are ones that have the letter Shri in front of the king's face. We have 13 coins in the sample. We have one with this symbol, which is the discus of Vishnu seen on its edge on a pedestal. So we have one like that, and then we have 4 that are plain in front of the king's face. So there are 25 coins in all, of which 13 have the Shri and 12 don't. So the Shri is not a definitive feature of the coinage at the beginning. Then we have Ardashir II. We have 10 coins of his in our database, of which 5 have the Shri and 5 do not. 5 are just plain. There are only 2 types. There's the plain type with nothing in front of the king's face and the type with the Shri in front of the king's face. So we have 10 with 5 coins of each type. We then go to Shapur III. We have 41 coins in the database, 15 of which have nothing in front of the king's face. 23 have the Shri, and then 3 have this discus, the chakra of Vishnu in front of the king's face. So again, it's roughly 50-50. And then we go to, there's a break with Vahram IV. We don't have any coins of his. And then we have coins of Yazdgard I. And we have 10 or 11 coins, depending on what you want to do with that 3rd coin down there. The other 10 coins all have the Shri. So in the reign of Yazdgard I, and again, I'm identifying the coins by Sassanian emperor because the crown worn by the king is that of that Sassanian emperor. There's no guarantee that that Sassanian emperor was issuing the coins. Joe Cribb has argued, I've never actually talked to him about it, but I've seen his PowerPoint presentation where he argued that these coins were issued by the Huns, not by the Sassanians. That they were issued by the Kidarites, because the Sassanians did not have a tradition of putting symbols like that in front of the king's face, but the Huns did. And these symbols like flowers and things like that in front of the king's face are symbols used by the Kidarites and by the Huns more generally later on. So there are these 10 coins with Shri, and then there's this one coin. Now, I didn't actually, let me go back. If you notice, the coins of Shapur II, on the reverse, there's a fire altar. And there's just this sort of exactly what these elements are on either side of the fire altar. I don't know. Does somebody know? To me, sometimes they look like little birds or something, but there must be a significance to these, but I don't know exactly what it is. But with Ardashir II, we go back to the traditional Sassanian design of a fire altar with attendants on either side. So Shapur II has this unusual design where there are no attendants, but with Ardashir, we start with the attendants, and then with Shapur III, all the coins have the attendants. And with Yazdgard, all the 10 coins with the Shri have the attendants. But then there's this one coin that goes back to the Shapur II reverse. So was that a mule? Because, it was kind of a freaky thing. This coin, by the way, was in the Larkana hoard of 6 coins from the 1920s. So it was part of that group. In any case, so that's Yazdgard I. And then there's Vahram V. We have 45 coins of his. And with him, we have the Shri on all coins. And then we have these elements in front of the king's face that are pseudo mint names. They're not really easily readable, but they look like mint names. And then there are these other, this is probably the Fahravar symbol, the great Iranian imperial symbol. And I don't know exactly what this symbol is. Then this almost looks like the Hindu symbol Om. Here we have a flower, and here we have the king with his hand in front of his face. It's as if he's sniffing something or, maybe taking snuff or something like that. I don't know. And we have Hun coins like this, where the king is holding, you see the king's hand and it's in something in front of his face. We then have another break with Yazdgard II. No coins are in our database anyway, so we don't know of any coins. And then Peroz I with the first crown, the top 2 coins are with the first crown of Peroz. And these are the only 2 in our database. And then there are these 2 lower ones with the third crown of Peroz with these very Hunnic type tamgas. So by this time, it seems very clear that the Huns are doing this. I mean, the second row of Peroz coins seem quite clearly to be Hunnic issues. They really couldn't be Sassanian issues. So there's obviously some kind of break here. Something happens here, because after this, the coinage looks very different. There's this one Peroz coin that is likely not from Sindh, so I haven't included it in our count. But it doesn't fit the Sindh sort of fabric, but although the weight is correct. I should mention, I'll say something about the weights. The weights of these coins do not fit with the Sassanian weight system at all. There seem to be like a reduced Gupta dinar or a reduced Kushan dinar weight, rather than the Sassanian weights were around 3.5, 4 grams. And these are of the order of 7 grams. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. We then have, so after Peroz, we have a break. The fabric of the coins changes, and we start having inscriptions on the coins with the king's name. So the most common of these are these coins of Ranaditya Satya, where we have the coin with the king with the crown of Peroz, the third crown of Peroz, a fire altar, no attendants, no other designs, replaced by the name of the king in Brahmi letters, Ranaditya Satya. Okay, and we have 97 coins. This is by far the most common group. And we could have many more. You get tired of, they all look the same. And the condition is very bad, and we get very little information. So we have 3 coins of a related king, apparently, Ranaditya Bodha. So the legend reads Ranaditya Bodha, and this is very different in the sense that the Ranaditya Satya coins are written, so they are being read from the inside of the coin, running from top to bottom, Ranaditya Satya, okay? Whereas here we have Ranaditya, and then in a vertical orientation, Bodha. It wouldn't make sense for it to be, first of all, it's clear that this letter is vertical here. It is not with its top to the outside of the flange. These letters all have their tops towards the outside of the flange, as did all of the coins here. All of these coins have the tops of the letters to the outside of the flange and are being read from the inside of the coin. And that's the same with the Ranaditya, but then these letters are clearly in vertical orientation. The bo is on top and the dha is below. This is the Brahmi letter bo, and this is the letter dha. So bodha is in a vertical orientation. This letter could not be on its side, right? It couldn't be read, the dha could be read from the inside of the coin, but this letter cannot be read from the inside of the coin. So there's no doubt about the vertical orientation. This is Ranaditya. This is the letter bo, and this circle below it is the letter dha. So that's bodha, Ranaditya bodha. One curious thing is that we have 3 specimens of this type. And an interesting thing is that this coin, so this box is the letter B, and the 2 kind of rabbit ears on top of it are the diacritic for the vowel sound O. So the box is the letter B, and the rabbit ears make it the letter Bo. If you look at this coin, the one down here, this coin, this one here, you'll notice that the letter, the box is there, the letter Bo, but on top of that, you don't have the rabbit ears. You don't have the O. Instead, you have this letter that looks like G. It looks like the Brahmi letter G, which is really odd. Gibadha. I mean, but it looks like it's in a sort of a different, it doesn't look like it was drawn by the die cutter in the same way as the other letters were. Anyway, it's a curiosity. I don't have anything to say about it other than to point out the curiosity. So that's Ranaditya Bodha. We then have, oops, now I can't move this thing. Do I have to get out of this somehow? I can't move to the next one.
Next out.
Oh, okay. Okay. But now.
Annotate, and then there's an eraser button, and it will erase.
Oh.
That, yeah. Or you try maybe the delete line to look.
Thank you. By the way, these late coins after Ranaditya Satya and Ranaditya Bodha are being kind of, the readings are very unclear, and I'm presenting some slightly new readings here for the first time. So this one seems to be Shri Shahi, which was a very common Hunnic introduction, Shri Shahi. And then it seems to say Jaitrapad, but I'm not 100% sure. We have only 2 examples of this type. Notice that a trident has appeared on the left of the altar on the reverse on this coin. And what this circular element on the right of the altar is, I don't know. That could be the letter Dha. But, okay, so there's a letter Dha. I don't know what it means. We then have 22 coins of a king whose name we can now read for the first time as Hosuruka. I asked Nicholas Sims Williams if he knew the meaning of this word, and he said no, but he suggested it sounds like a variation of the name Khusro. So Hosuruka seems to be a variant of the name Khusro. But on the coin at the bottom right, the legend is very, very clear. So there can be no doubt about the name of this king. So we have Hosuruka. And notice now the attendants have reappeared on either side of the fire altar on the reverse. The other curious thing about Hosuruka is that it seems that the crown has shifted to the crown of Valkash, the emperor, the Sassanian emperor who succeeded Peroz, which is really odd if we are now clear these are not Sassanian issues, why they would be following the crowns of the Sassanian kings. Okay, so I looked into the weights of 29 dinars, and you get a rough impression of a downward trend. These are in chronological order of the kings, within a king randomly assigned. So there looks like a downward trend. But if you look at the averages, you see that the first three kings, the averages are pretty much constant. And then there's a fall. And then the last five, including the late, clearly Hun kings, that are all around 7 grams. So it seems like there are two weight standards. There was a weight standard around 7.3, and then it took a sharp drop to 7 and has stayed there. And I looked into the gold content by XRF, and we see the same phenomenon there. We see the first three kings have a very high gold content, 95% and above. And then with Yazdgard, there's a sudden drop, and then it keeps dropping from there. And we know that the Sassanians started having a harder time at that time. So in a sense, that's not surprising.
Pankaj, on the Hosuruka, number 1 looks like high content gold, and the fourth one on the lower right looks like pale gold.
I've only been able to test the coins that I've been able to handle myself personally. Yeah, you can change the color. Coins are quite often gilded, so we can't necessarily go by that. And yes, the light conditions can change what the coin looks like. So a lot of these coins, the dies are bigger than the flans. So the fire is very, like on this one, on this screen, the fire above the fire altar is fully visible on the top coin. And there it's not inconsequential, the fire. I think because in the Zoroastrian temples, the fire altars were literally very big. And so the fire would be relatively small on top. It wouldn't look to be the size of the altar. These are not little altars. These are big altars, human-sized altars, because the attendants are about the same size, same height. So the fire would be relatively small. Now the coin at the bottom, the flames are off flan. So the flames are probably quite a bit bigger on the original die than what appears on this coin. If we move on, like here, the flames are all off the flan because the top of the fire altar has got right to the top of the flan. Here you see flames a little more easily visible. So I think they probably did have reasonably sized flames, but we don't always see them. And yeah, the altars, these are not like the Greek altars or the tripods, that you often see on Greek coins. These are not like that. These are much bigger. Okay, so I looked on the weights and then on the gold content. And what was interesting was that, okay, we had, so these start at the time of Shapur II. And I looked at two other databases, or not databases, rather, two papers or two sets of results on the gold content of Sassanian coins. One was in a paper by Alram and Letlemarkand, and they had the early Sassanian kings. And the other, and I hope Bob Schaff is still on, because the other was based on data I got from Bob Schaff of these unpublished results by a chemist, a professor of chemistry at Michigan by the name of Adon Gordis. And I tried to contact him and wasn't able to reach him. Why he never published his results, I don't know. But I put the results of these three studies together. On this graph, what you see is the red line are the results of Gordis. So he had a large sample and he spanned the entire Sassanian dynasty with the gap around Vahram V. And the blue line, which I'll use my mouse to the people here, the blue line is the early kings up to Shapur II. These are the results in the paper by Alram. And then the green line are the results that I'm reporting from my own XRF testing. And what I come away with looking at these results is that they're very compatible. The results are not that different. It seems like, for example, the gold content results for the early kings seem to merge seamlessly with the coins of the slightly later kings, like Shapur II, Ardashir II, Shapur III. They seem to form a continuous series. The decline at the time of Vahram V is presaged also in the results of Gordis. He never got any results for Vahram V, so we don't have any comparison, but he also shows a decline starting with Yazdgard I or Shapur III, wherever you want to call the king. So these results seem very similar to me. And so I come away with this thinking that it's plausible that these coins were issued by the Sassanians, the early coins, because the metrology and the gold content seems to fit with the other Sassanian coins that we know about. Okay, I've chosen not to include the coin of the well-known Han King Mihirakula in the series, but it seems to be clearly related. It's in the same weight range. The late coins in my series seem to be average around 7 grams. This is 7.07 grams. And the fabric looks very much like the Ranaditya Satya fabric. However, the design is obviously very different. So it doesn't seem to be a Sindh issue, but it seems to be informed by the Sindh coins. The crown on the king's head is that of Peroz, the third crown of Peroz, which was his third crown. So in that sense, this seems to be related to the Sindh coins, pointing to a connection between the Han king, the well-known Han King Mihirakula, and the the Sindh series. And if you look at the Raja Tarangini, which is a history of Kashmir written by Kalhan in roughly the 10th century. So we know that the Raja Tarangini is very unreliable when it reports about ancient times, all right? Because you're looking back 500-600 years, and he's very unreliable for that period. But nevertheless, there seems to be some information there as well. And then the closer you get to his time, the more reliable is his information. Amongst the dynastic lists that Kalhan provides is the dynastic list of what is called the Gonandiya dynasty. And this is a complete list of the kings listed by Kalhan in the Gonandiya dynasty. In this list, the bold letters indicate kings for whom we know of coins. And I've highlighted Ranaditya because that's the name we've seen in the Sindh list. What I'm getting at is there seems to be a connection between the Sindh kings and Kashmir. Because the Raja Tarangini is a history of Kashmir. It's talking about the kings of Kashmir. And the Gonandiya dynasty is a list of kings who ruled in Kashmir according to Kalhan. And this is his list. We have coins of Meghavahana, we have coins of Pravarasena, we have coins of Toramana, we have coins of Lakhana Narendraditya, and we have coins of a Ranaditya, the ones that I've just shown you. And the question is this the same Ranaditya? As I said, there seems to be a connection between Sindh and Kashmir. And here is one more possible link. We know that the last king of the Gonandiya dynasty was Baladitya, according to Kalhan, and his son was named Durlabhavardhan. Now we know of a Durlabha whose coins we know of as a king of Kashmir, and he's dated to 625 to 661. So we have coins of a king by the name of Durlabha Deva. On his coins, he calls himself Durlabha Deva. Deva is like a lord. So Lord Durlabha. And he's dated to 625 to 661. So Ranaditya, if this list is even vaguely true, Ranaditya would fit in 2 or 3 generations. So it's roughly 3 generations which would be 75 years earlier. So around 550 or something like that. That's a suggestion for a possible time, possible dating, because we have no other information to date them. And that's where I end.